Oh, man, that wire wheel's brutal. I'm telling you, that thing was spitting wire like crazy. I've got more wire in me than a dang Tesla, I can tell you that much. My brain's not mathing right now. I think that's 7 hours. All right, it's confession time. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cody Builds. Stick around tonight because we got a lot of ground to cover. You want to see welding? We got it. You want to see cutting? We got it. You want to see frame prep, priming the frame? We got that too. And oh yeah, do you want to see some grinding action? You're going to see more grinding than at your high school prom. I promise you that. Here's what we got going tonight, fellas. This is the list of what we're going to try and get accomplished tonight. Well, everything except for the paint. We're going to be welding the remaining frame holes that are unnecessary in this frame. We're going to be welding the back cross member. We're going to be grinding everything that we've welded up to this point. We've got a little bit of frame prep for the QA1 system. And then we're going to remove the trans cross member, prep the frame for primer, and prime the frame. We're going to get all that done on tonight's episode. We got a lot of work to do. First things first, we're going to get to filling some of these holes in the frame that are completely unnecessary. All right, we got all the holes welded up in the frame. We got the back cross member welded up. I'm going to give you a quick look at the frame here before we start grinding away at all the welds. So this is how it turned out. I got a majority of the holes in the frame filled. We're leaving a couple odds and ends here where I think some components might fall. But for the most part, we plugged up pretty much every hole that was not needed in this frame, except for kind of the larger holes in the frame. I didn't really want to go and plug those with just weld, so we just let those be. A couple holes doesn't bother me. A couple hundred holes certainly does. So we went ahead and got the back cross member welded in. You might notice the orientation is off from what it would have been stock. It would have been flipped around 180. And the reason I did that is the fuel cell we're going to use has angle iron feet, so I can actually use the open side of this cross member possibly to mount that fuel cell onto. At least that was my thinking. Plus it'll look kind of clean with the flat side facing out on the back side. We're not going to be putting a rear bumper back on this. We'll have a roll pan, so it'll look a little bit cleaner this way. So the next step here is going to be to get the grinder out, start at the front, work our way all the way to the back, and get everything ground down smooth. So I'm going to get after that, so I've got at least a shot at priming this frame tonight. The QA1 kit comes with this template, and this is for notching out the wheel arch in the frame. This is a 5 to 7 inch drop kit, and in order to accommodate that drop, we've got to take a section of this frame out so that there's no interference with the rear end once that frame is lowered. So this template comes with the kit, and it's designed so that it lines up with the two holes on this frame. So we hold this in place over these two holes. We are going to mark out this notch, and then what happens is the bracket that goes on the back of this frame will actually sit up inside of this notch. We have to cut on the bottom side straight back on either side here, and that the bracket that goes on the frame is boxed in on the underside to accommodate this cutout in the frame and rebox in the bottom side of the frame. So I'm going to get this mocked up, we're going to get it marked out, and we'll get it cut out on both sides. All right, it's confession time. This is night 2. Last night did not go to plan. It was just one of those nights where it feels like everything was working against me. Some of it being my own fault, but some of it not. I had grand plans. We were going to get all this work done and get the frame primed, and then I'd come back today and paint it, and we'd be ready to go for Saturday. Right from the jump, we started having issues last night as we were working. One, I ran out of propane. Right now, we're having this crazy weather where for a couple days it was 70. It was beautiful, and I was thinking, oh, this is going to be perfect. I'm going to have the perfect weather to prime and paint this frame. And then it dropped to 20 in one day. It went from 70 to 20, and we've been hovering around highs in the 30s. So I kind of need the heat running in order for the paint to cure. We are using epoxy paint. It has a catalyst in it, so there is a chemical reaction that helps it cure. However, it's not ideal to be doing that at 30 degrees. You want to facilitate that reaction, allow the paint to cure properly and set and harden. So I knew last night I wasn't going to be able to prime the frame. Okay, that's no problem. I keep working through the problems, or keep working through everything else that needs to get done, right? Get all the grinding done. The next issue we ran into was the Makita angle grinder I have chews through batteries, right? And in order to counteract that, I have 8 batteries. Look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and another one on another charger over there. All of them 5 and 6 amp hour batteries. I was burning through one of those batteries like every 15 minutes. And they take probably 45 minutes to an hour to charge. So it became apparent after about the first hour of grinding that I was going to run through the batteries faster than I can charge them. Okay, no problem there. I'll jump it around and do other things, right? I can edit the video and make it look like I did everything sequentially, whatever, no big deal. So I went ahead and I notched the frame last night. I went ahead and took the trans cross member out. Some of that I recorded, some of it I didn't, just because things got so ugly so fast yesterday. So, I'm doing these things intermittently. As I'm grinding, I'm finding a few things that I want to go back and weld. I ran out of welding wire. No problem. I have a small emergency roll for such situations. So put the new roll on, the little tiny roll. It's one of those little, very small rolls of welding wire, but it's more in a situation where you're in a pinch, you run out of wire unexpectedly, and you can finish the job. Only problem was I couldn't finish the job because I ran that roll of wire out as well. It went way faster than I thought it would. I only welded with that wire on. I didn't get maybe 2 beads down the side of the frame, 2 or 3 beads, where I was trying to just clean things up, make it a little bit prettier. So we ran out of welding wire. Okay, so now I know for sure I'm not going to be able to finish the frame last night because I was this far. I was from here to here, weld-wise, from finishing up what I was trying to weld. I was just trying to clean up the weld where we shorten the frame, make it look a little prettier. Okay, fine. I'll finish up all the grinding, right? Now, at that point, I had run out of little side projects, and I went through those batteries so fast, and I just got to a point where I physically couldn't do any more work because I didn't have a single battery with a charge on it. All 8 of them were dead. So, why am I talking about all this? I want to be real on this channel, show you the problems. It's not all sunshine and roses, and these things come up in the shop, and you have to work through your problems. It'd be easy for me to quit and say, I'm angry, I'm ticked off, forget this project, I'm going to walk away from it, and, let a week go by, 2 weeks go by. Well, 2 weeks can turn into a month, can turn into a couple months, can turn into, I've got a project split into a million pieces in my garage. So that's not what we're going to do. We're going to problem solve, right? We're going to work through those issues, keep working on the project, and just keep making progress. That's all that matters. Even if we're just doing a little bit every night, any progress we make gets us that much closer to the finish line, and that's what we're trying to do here. So today, I went out, I exchanged my propane tank, I bought some welding wire, I got some new grinding discs. That was the other thing. My grinding discs were working just fine, but I was very near end of code on a couple of those grinding discs. So we went ahead, got new grinding discs. I went to my other garage and grabbed my corded angle grinder. Probably should have done that from the start. I knew that Makita angle grinder burns through batteries. Most of the time when you're doing a quick little job and you don't want to run an extension cord, it works just fine, no problem. Extended job like this, I would not personally recommend a battery-powered grinder when you know you're going to be grinding for hours on end. They just have such a high power consumption. Maybe it's different with other brands, but I'm locked into the Makita platform. I bought a drill when I was in my 20s, and now I am stuck with Makita. So not that I dislike my Makita tools. I really do like them. I have very few complaints other than the angle grinder rips through batteries. So we got the corded angle grinder. We got new grinding discs. We got heat tonight. We got our welding wire. We got everything we need to wrap this frame up tonight and get it primed. I'm not going to be able to get it painted tonight, but what we're going to do is we're going to prime it. Tomorrow after work, probably I'll run over here. We'll put our paint on it, and we will be ready for Saturday for the suspension system. We're not gonna delay things. We're gonna keep moving, keep pushing, and keep making progress on this project. So I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna get back to work. we're gonna start things off tonight. I'm gonna finish up this weld down here, and then I got through a good chunk of the grinding last night. I bet you guys thought I was lying when I told you there was a lot of grinding to do, but it's not going to show it in this video. I was grinding on this frame for about 4 hours last night, non-stop. So it was a lot. It's a lot of grinding. I'm trying to make this frame look good, which is probably another reason why it's good. I came back tonight. You know, there's a few, I don't want to say corners I cut, but a few things I probably would have touched up and make look a little bit prettier if I had more time, and now I do have more time. So we're going to get that one little spot welded up first. The last little bit of grinding I have to do on this side of the frame, we're going to clean all that up. I've got a patch here that needs to be ground down. And then I'm going to go through the frame one last time, go through everything, double check, make sure everything, all the welds that I want to have ground down are ground down, do any touch-up welding and grind that. And then once all that is done, we got to hit this thing with the wire wheel, because even though we had the sandblasting done, in the 2 weeks this has been sitting in the garage, you can see all the flash rust, maybe. I think you can see it here, some of that flash rust that's popped up on the frame. And this frame is like pitted a little bit from the bead blaster, the sandblasting. They use a pretty coarse sand, it looks like. I started here, and you can see how shiny this is. I did hit this with the wire wheel last night to make sure it would clean up nicely, and it does. So once all the welding and grinding is done, we're going to hit this thing inside and out with the wire wheel. Then we're going to wipe this thing down, clean up the garage, get most of the dust out of here, get the frame blown off, put some plastic down to protect the floor, and then we're going to prime this thing. Hopefully, all that work doesn't take all night. So I'm going to get after it. We're going to start with that welding and get making progress from there. All right, I just finished up all the grinding, all the wire wheeling of the frame, all that work. I think I was a little overzealous last night because it's taken me all of another probably 4 or 5 hours tonight to get to the point where I'm ready to prep the frame for priming, but that's okay. We did it. And have a look. I think it turned out pretty darn good. So remember, all those holes that were in the frame, all that's gone now. It's all been filled with weld, ground smooth. I think it turned out really, really nice. All the patches are blended in, smoothed out. The inside of the frame's not quite as pretty. You know, I did what I could, but it's not a show truck. You know, we just wanted to look better than representable. You know, we're not going for Barrett Jackson quality, although some of the stuff you see roll through Barrett Jackson, I can tell you the frame will be nicer than some of the stuff. I don't know. You know, I saw a clip of a K5 Blazer going through. Somebody paid $100 grand for, and it was just absolutely crusty underneath. You know, it's insane what guys are paying for these trucks now. So, anyways, I'm getting a little loopy. I'm tired. This second late night here in a row, but that's all right. Oh man, that wire wheel's brutal. I'm telling you, that thing was spitting wire like crazy. I've got more wire in me than a dang Tesla. I can tell you that much. I'm ready for this part to be done. So the next part here, I'm going to go ahead and wipe down the frame. I've swept the floor. I'm going to let the dust settle in here for a minute. It got pretty dusty in here when I was sweeping. I took the air compressor, blew off the frame, the loose dust and stuff. Once the dust settles down, I'm going to throw a layer of plastic down on the floor. That's going to keep, you know, any of the dust off the floor from aerosolizing when I'm spraying with the spray paint. And then I will, once I got the plastic down, I'll wipe down the frame one time here. Just going to take a rag and some alcohol, wipe down the frame, get it dry, blow it off one last final time, and then we're going to prime it, and then I'm done for tonight, and then I'm going to go home and get some sleep. So let's finish this thing up. Okay, so I got the frame cleaned up. We are finally ready for primer. We're going to be using an Eastwood product, this 2K Aerospray epoxy primer. It's a two-part primer. You have to puncture the bottom of the can with the little tool they provide in the lid in order to mix the paint and the catalyst. If you don't, it will not cure. So just keep that in mind if you use this product. I like the idea of using the two-part epoxy paint. I think it's going to be more durable on the frame than, say, any of those, you know, rust converters or anything like that. Plus, we've got a pretty clean base to work with, so I'm not too worried about getting the primer to stick or anything like that. You know, this frame's a little bit pitted, so I'm interested to see how the paint holds up over time. But I'm hoping, since we're using the epoxy, we're going to seal up all those pores, get a good coat on there, and then top coat it with the chassis black, the two-part epoxy chassis black. So, yeah, so I'm going to now go ahead and get this mixed up. We're going to get our primer on the chassis, and that's going to do it for tonight. All right, one final screw up here. I did not order nearly enough primer. I thought 2 cans would get it. That didn't even come close to touching it. So we got a coat on this side. on the inside of the frame and the outside. And then I focus just on the areas where the QA1 system is going to go in case I'm not able to find any epoxy primer locally tomorrow. I'm going to try real hard. This is 2 spray cans. This is all the more it did here. I still have the full other side to spray. This cross member, the inside of the frame here, inside of the frame on the middle here, and the bottom side of the frame. So they had square footage estimates. I think those were not even close to accurate on the can. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But you know, these things happen. So it is what it is. At least we got all the welding done, all the grinding done. I'm so thankful to have all that grinding done. I mean, that was labor hours. I put 12 hours in on the frame repairs. And then I probably put in another, let's see, yesterday I was out here from 7 until 2 in the morning. My brain's not mathing right now. I think that's 7 hours. And then tonight we were out here for another 5. So that's another 12 hours in grinding time. So about 12 hours in patching and welding, 12 hours in grinding and blending, and the last couple little cut things that we had to do that didn't take hardly any time though. So, you know, we got about 24 hours worth of labor into this thing, which is more than I was anticipating, but you know, that's how she goes. I'm just beat at the moment, so I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to go get some sleep. We'll finish this video out when I get enough primer and can get this frame painted. I'm actually now questioning whether I have enough paint because I ordered an extra can of paint. One more can of paint than I ordered primer, thinking, oh, if it's a little thin in some places, I want to make sure it's covered up. Well, if it covers like the epoxy does, I'm probably 2 cans of that short. So about 3 cans of primer and 2 cans of paint short. I'm not going to be able to get the paint in time for Saturday. So what I'm going to do, what I really want to do is get this whole frame primered, a nice coat of primer on the whole thing. And then I will concentrate the paint just on the front and the back areas where the QA1 system goes in. That way we can paint that area up, we can install the suspension, and then we can finish off the paint in the middle of the chassis. We can tape things up and keep them from getting oversprayed and all that, but we'll be able to not get held up by not having all the paint we need. So that's at least the plan for now. We'll see if I can find the primer tomorrow. That's going to stink if I can't. What we'll probably end up doing, if that's the case, is we'll install the suspension, mock it all up, because there's a bunch of holes that have to be drilled and everything. And once it's all assembled and mocked up, then I will pull it back apart. We'll spray all those holes we drilled and everything once we get the primer and the paint in. So that's the plan for now, at least. Yeah, I'm going to call it a night. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, fellas, we got lucky. We scored some, we actually managed to score some epoxy primer and extra paint because I knew I ordered 3 cans of paint and I knew based on what I used up of the primer that the 3 cans of paint weren't going to be enough. I got lucky. I found a local auto paint shop that sells to the public. It's not a supply house. And they had aerosolized 2K epoxy primer and gloss black paint. Now, they didn't have Eastwood, but I did a little research and I'm looking at these cans and I think if they're not the same product, this Spray Max paint, it's got the exact identical can, everything except for the label. The nozzles, the coloring, it's all exactly the same. So I have a feeling that you know, either Spray Max or Eastwood is the manufacturer and they're selling to the other one. I would guess Spray Max is selling their paint to Eastwood and they're just relabeling it with their own branding. Regardless, it's 2K epoxy. Both of them are 2K epoxy. So I'm They'll be compatible with one another. When I lay them down, when I lay the paint down, I'm gonna lay the Spray Max down first. I'll follow that up with the Eastwood. That way if there is slightly different tinting in the paints, it'll be consistent coat wise. I won't jump from side to side or anything like that. We'll just do one side at a time. That way it's getting all the same style of paint. I already went ahead and got the frame primered up. It looks good, looks real good. I ended up using almost 5 cans. I bought 2. So I based the 2 that I bought on the square footage of the frame and what the can said it would cover, and it wasn't even close. These things they spray a little bit heavier than your standard like Rust-Oleum spray paint. They claim they spray like a paint gun. They have adjustable nozzles on them, so you can widen and narrow the fan, and you can also turn the spray fan, which is handy. I don't think it sprays like a spray gun necessarily, but it does seem to throw a lot more material out, which results in more overspray and more waste. So just consider that if you're going to be doing a project like this. I was super fortunate that a local store had it. I was able to pick it up on my lunch hour. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to lay down the black paint, and that's going to be it for tonight. That'll be it for this video. The next video up, we're going to be installing the suspension kit. So that'll be coming up here in a few days. You guys will see that next week. But for now, let's get the black laid down and wrap this video up. That's right, guys. She's painted. Oh, it turned out so nice. I'm so happy with how this looks. It's starting to feel like we're making some real progress now. All right, one thing I think I should mention before I let you guys go, respirator, wear it. Especially if you're using this specific product. One of the chemicals in this is isocyanate. That is the cyanate sounds like cyanide. That's because it's an oxidized version of cyanide. It's very hazardous to your lungs. So protect yourself. Wear a respirator. Have the right cartridges on your respirator, and keep your lungs happy and healthy. But that's going to do it for this week's episode, guys. I know it's going to be a long one. We got a lot of work done. I'm really happy with the progress we made. Yeah, it's feeling like a real project now. So stick around for next week when we get the suspension installed. And remember, if you don't work on your projects, they're not going to work on themselves. Get out in the shop, keep building, and I'll see you next week.